Connective tissues. Lots of intercellular space filled with matrix. Melanocytes. They synthesize and store a brown pigment that gives the tissue a dark color, common in the epithelium of the skin. Helps determine the skin color. Adipocytes. Fat cells. Fixed macrophages. Large amoeboid cells that are scattered among the fibers. They engulf damaged or dead cells that enter the tissue. Fibrocytes. Maintain the connective tissue fibers of connective tissue proper. Cells of connective tissue proper. Fixed cells. Fixed cells include fibroblasts, fibrocytes, fixed macrophages, adipocytes, melanocytes. Cells that are concerned primarily with the defense and repair of damaged tissues are wandering cells. Fibroblasts. Slender, stellate cells are responsible for the production of all connective tissue fibers. Mesenchymal cells. Present in many connective tissues, these cells respond to local injury or infection by dividing to produce daughter cells that differentiate into fibroblasts, macrophages, or other connective tissue cells. Fixed cells are stationary cells and are involved primarily with the defense and repair of damaged tissues. Supporting connective tissues. Cartilage, bone, matrix of cartilage that's gel, matrix of bone that's calcified. Fluid connective tissues have a distinctive population of cell suspended in a watery matrix that contains dissolved proteins like blood and lymph. Connective tissue proper. Connective tissues with many types of cells and extracellular fibers and a syrupy ground substance. These connective tissues may differ in terms of the number of cell type they contain. Classification of connective tissues. Connective tissue proper, fluid connective tissue, supporting connective tissues. Connective tissue fibers. Collagen fibers, reticular fibers, elastic fibers. Collagen fibers, long, straight, and unbranched. Reticular fibers, longer than collagen fibers, branching, interwoven framework. Elastic fibers contain the protein elastin, branching and wavy. Ground substance, clear, colorless, similar in consistency to maple syrup. Mucoid connective tissue, long connective tissue found in many regions of the embryo, including the umbilical cord. Elastic tissue, contains large number of elastic fibers, may stretch and rebound. Ligaments, connect cartilage to cartilage, bone to cartilage, or one bone to another bone. Loose connective tissues are the packing material of the body. Areolar connective tissue contains all the cells and fibers found in connective tissue proper. Adipose tissue. Adipocytes are found in almost all forms of areolar connective tissues. Reticular tissue. Form in the stroma of the liver, spleen, lymph nodes, and bone marrow. Seldomly visible. Dense regular connective tissue. Collagen fibers are packed tightly and aligned parallel to aligned forces. Four major types of examples: tendons, aponeurosis, elastic tissue, ligaments. Tendons. Cords of dense, regular connective tissue that attach skeletal muscle to bone and cartilage. Aponeurosis. collagenous sheets that resemble flat, broad tendons. Dense, irregular connective tissues form interwoven meshwork and do not show any consistent pattern. Fluid connective tissues, blood and lymph. Cartilage and bone are the supporting connective tissues. Hyaline cartilage, most common type of cartilage, weakest type of cartilage, not always visible. Elastic cartilage, resilient and flexible, example, the ear. Fibrous cartilage, little ground substance, also known as fibrocartilage. Osseous tissue is another word for bone. Periosteum, almost all bone surfaces are sheathed with this. Mucous membrane lines the passageways that communicate with the exterior, including the digestive, respiratory, reproductive, and urinary tracts. It forms a barrier that resists the entry of pathogens. Lamina propria, the areola tissue component of a mucous membrane. Serous membranes, the subdivisions of the ventral body cavity, are lined by this. Transudate, the fluid formed on the surfaces of a serous membrane. Cutaneous membrane, also known as the skin, covers the surface of the body. Synovial membranes, joints that permit significant movement are surrounded by a fibrous capsule and contain a joint cavity lined by the synovial membranes. Fascia, a general term for a layer or sheet of connective tissue that can be seen on gross dissection. Superficial fascia or subcutaneous, layer of loose connective tissue that separates the skin from underlying tissues and organs. Subserous fascia, a layer of loose connective tissue that lies between the deep fascia and the serous membranes that line body cavity. The three major components of fascia are superficial fascia, deep fascia, subserous fascia. Muscle tissue, specialized for contraction. The three types of muscle tissue: skeletal, cardiac, smooth. Skeletal muscle tissue contains very large muscle cells, also known as muscle fibers. Cardiac muscle tissue, found only in the heart, also known as pacemaker. Smooth muscle tissue, a small cell with tapering ends containing a single centrally located oval nucleus. Neural tissue has two basic cells: neurons for the nerve, neuroglia for the glue.